Hello, I'm Dr. Ron Vargo. I'm a chiropractor in Canton, Ohio, and welcome to video number 2 in my series of opioids. We're talking about what they are and how they become abused and the answers. Well, today's video we're going to talk about how they became abused from the very beginning. And the statistics are incredible, and we have to review those. For some reason, Ohio is the #1 in opioid deaths across the country. Over 4,000 Ohioans die every year of opioid addiction, of overdosing. Opioid addiction and overdoses have overtaken auto accidents as the #1 cause of accidental death in Ohio. And unfortunately, if you're on the Medicaid program or workers' comp program and you're hurt, you're 3 times more likely to die of overdose than any other Ohioan. So this has to be addressed. And how did it happen? How did this become a problem? Well, in the mid-90s, there was a perfect storm, and there was a lot of different factors that came together to create this. #1, the American Pain Society came up with the slogan, "Pain is the 5th vital sign." And it was pushed in all the hospitals. And doctors were told, hey, you got to try to get these people out of pain. It's so important that it's the 5th vital sign. It's just as important as one of the vital signs. Do what you got to do, and we're going to start grading you on how well you get patients out of pain. So doctors were placed under some pressure to get people out of pain. So there was a push for doctors to do whatever they could to try to get people out of pain. They were getting looked at from that aspect. Now, at the same time, Purdue Pharma drug company came out with this magical pill called OxyContin. That was in 1996. And OxyContin is basically pure straight oxycodone with a time-release capsule over it where it will be introduced into your system gradually. And they touted that as one of the benefits. And they told the doctors, look, this is not just pure oxycodone, just taking it all at once. It's time-release, it's safer, it's going to prevent people from getting hooked. And they also quoted a research paper that said that there's only 1% addiction to heavy opioid-like narcotics. So doctors took that and ran with it. They said, wow, we're being graded on how we get patients out of pain, and we got this wonder drug now that can get them out of pain and works, and there's only 1% addiction rate. So that's what happened. Ever since that time, and that 1996 is a key time frame, prescriptions for opioid drugs quadrupled. Okay, they rose just drastically. Doctors were giving scripts out for opioids for every little ache and pain that a patient had, every little bitty sprain injury, when they were only used for terminal illnesses and for post-surgical operations. So that's where the abuse began. So where did we get this study? That's a very interesting story too. The 1% addiction rate. It goes back to a small paper written in the New England Journal of Medicine. And actually it wasn't even a paper, it was a letter to the editor, a 1-paragraph letter written by a doctor. We know the doctor's name was Herschel Jick. And basically it was his opinion saying that he experienced only a 1% addiction rate to these heavy narcotic drugs. And the drug companies took that paper as a foothold and used it and pushed it and touted it to the docs and said, look, you know, it's safe. Here it is. Over time, that paper, that 1-paragraph paper, it grew. It grew in reputation, and people thought that it was a qualified scientific study when it actually was not. Okay, very interesting how that happened. So again, docs were prescribing this pill for every little ailment, which of course led to addiction. We know now that 1% is the farthest thing from the truth. People got hooked. They got hooked bad. So now enter in the unethical doctors who found out they can make a lot of money. And the pill mill was invented. And what's a pill mill? It's just a doctor's office filled with either one or more unethical doctors that were writing scripts left and right for people that were hooked on these opioid drugs. So you have a person that's hooked on the opioids, they want more, they do anything to get it. They got a script, so now they got to buy the drugs. How are you going to buy OxyContin? Do you know that back in the 90s, the street value of an OxyContin was $1 a milligram? So an 80 milligram pill, one 80 milligram pill was $80. That's a pretty expensive habit, isn't it? So you were either forced to steal, okay, or you sold everything you had. Then you're still going to run out of money sometime. So that's when heroin comes into the picture, because heroin is an opioid. Just like OxyContin, it's going to affect the brain the same. It's going to flood your brain with dopamine. You're going to get that euphoria. You're going to feel like a superhero, Superman, and you're going to get hooked just the same. And heroin's a whole lot cheaper, a lot cheaper. So people got hooked on heroin. And the New England Journal of Medicine did a study on that. And another mind-blowing study tells us that 80% of all heroin users today got their start from opioids, not because they were looking for the high, because they were hurt and they got a prescription from a family doc or some doc, and they started taking opioids for pain relief, for a legitimate pain. It got them hooked, addicted, and bam, now they're on heroin, shooting up heroin. Terrible, 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 terrible. We got a lot of problems. We have a huge crisis right now, and people are dying daily from it. What can be done? What are some answers? I'm saving that for video number 3. Watch video number 3, what can be done to help with the opioid crisis. If you want to learn more about opioids, look up my website too, www.vargochiropractic.com, and there's a lot of information, more details that will help you. And I hope that this video has helped you. Thank you very much for watching.